Welcome to Minecraft. This is Volcanic Sandbox. The challenge? To conquer the entire mod pack, including every optional challenge, in just one video. But there's a catch. This time, my world is only one chunk wide. Every factory, automation, and every bit of progression must be earned in this tiny parcel of land. Will I emerge victorious, or will I be consumed by the fire and the grind? Let's find out. There are 8 chapters for us to work through in order to complete the story part of this pack. There's a few extra ones that we'll need to complete for 100%. As we progress, we'll start unlocking what the developer calls creative items, which we'll be able to use to buy things from the quest shop. Essentially, the creative items are just milestone markers. But that's enough chatter. It is time to begin our unusual but grand adventure. Chapter 1. We'll start by right-clicking the grass, which is going to give us some sticks. Oh good, we can auto-click it. In the crafting grid, we will craft 3 sticks together to make a wooden hoe. Using the hoe on some grass has a chance to give us some bone meal, but we need to be very careful not to consume all of the grass blocks, since there's gonna be no way to get any more. If we now use that bone meal on the grass blocks, we can ultimately generate grass to get a lovely handful of seeds. The most important seed that we gain from that is the normie seed. It's from Unique Crops, and it's a mod that I have never seen before, which is always a nice surprise. If we plant one of these fellas down and do a little dance to accelerate its growth, we can right click it to apparently get a potato that time. Let's try again. Oh good, I do have the auto clicker still set up for spamming crouch. That's going to be useful. A beetroot that time. It seems that harvesting normie seeds is going to be a source of food for us. Good to know. The real reason we need them though is we can craft 4 of those into an artisia seed, of which we're going to need 9. So I think our next step is going to be activating a ton of bone meal and harvesting a ton of seeds. This is taking a while, but I do believe we get some normie seeds while harvesting them, so I want to find out if we can use Ultimine to harvest all 3 at once. Nope, that's unfortunate. Not even with a hoe. I guess it's a limitation of using these modded seeds. That's fine. I guess we can just grow 3 of them and move the cursor to harvest them when they're ready. Eventually we'll get enough to make 9 artisia seeds, and we have some spares available if we need them. We're now going to want to plant these down in a 3x3 grid. And you're not going to believe what we're going to be using these for. For now, since they've grown, we're going to break one to get ourselves a crafting table. It's an interesting take on getting one in a world without any wood. Using some sticks and bone meal, we can craft ourselves a drying basin from Integrated Dynamics. Of course, making sure to place it down on the cobblestone so we don't have any risk of losing our grass. Using some sticks, we can craft up a wooden bucket. Thematically, I'm not really sure why we can see the sun and the moon. We are in a volcano after all. Maybe I'll see if I can find a resource pack later to hide them. Moving on, we're going to need to work out how to craft up a Coblonia seed. We'll need 4 normie seeds, an artisia seed, and 4 sticks. However, to craft it, we must work out how to use these artisia flowers as a crafting grid. I told you wouldn't expect it. Oh, we throw them onto the middle flower. 4 normie seeds, 4 sticks, finishing with the artisia seed. Yeah, that took me far longer than I should have to work out, but that's kinda part of the fun of learning a new mod. That, my friends, is a Coblonia seed. We can go ahead and plant that little fella down, give it a little dance. Oh, what? We cannot right click to harvest. We must break and replant it. I already don't like the idea of using this to get cobblestone. I guess we need another seed so we can keep them in our offhand. Shouldn't really be that much of a bother to craft a few more seeds now that we've worked out how to use the crafting flowers. So if we toggle on the auto crouch and hold right click, we can then punch it every time it says it's mature to harvest and instantly replant. I think maybe 3 seeds would work better. For now, we have a little bit of cobblestone, so let's craft up a stone hammer and begin a short journey through Ex Nihilo. We'll turn cobble to gravel, gravel to sand, and sand to dust. This is very familiar. Honestly though, Ex Nihilo isn't that bad when you've got Ultimine, and building ones later. Up next on our agenda is to plant down some wheat seeds to grow some wheat. We'll take 9 wheat and compress them into a hay bale, which is going to go into a drying basin. A little while later, the dry wheat is turned into wet water in the drying basin. Make it make sense. Now if we were to use a hoe on some dust, we'll start chipping away at it for some resources. Specifically, we are looking for sawdust. Oh, and we are definitely on a floating platform. That's fine, we just needed somewhere to place down the water. Now if we throw in some sawdust, it's going to convert into some crude paper. We also got dirt dust, which is an easy source of dirt for expanding out the platform. Good to know. And honestly, I think it might be worth doing that soon, because more grass is better for our environment. For now though, we're going to need a few more normie seeds. And bone mealing the grass does seem to be a little bit quicker than planting. Now we can make up one more Carblonia seed, and I'm hoping now it's just a case of crouch, hold right click, and break when grown. Nobody told me life was gonna be this way. Enabling right click harvest would have been so much kinder to us. It's 4 seconds of paying attention per cobblestone. And remember, most players don't have these weird macros set up like I do. Like, they're literally just spamming crouch. The plan now is to create an air gap between our platform cobble and our break-in cobble, so we can safely ultimine it without causing mayhem. That way we have more dust to chip away at and get access to more dirt dust, and then dirt for expansion. Oh, and of course we can combine the 2 dirt with 2 gravel to get 4 coarse dirt, which can then be hoed into regular dirt, pretty much duplicating it for the cost of some gravel. If only there was an easier way to get the cobble to make the gravel. Yee. Up next, we're going to combine some of the bamboo that we got from breaking grass with 3 crude paper to make a book. Specifically 4 of them. Now onto the crafting flowers, we'll throw in 4 Coblonia seeds, 4 books, and a crude paper. That is going to craft into an EULA seed. We can plant this down, and now in order to use this seed, we must agree to the end user license agreement. We're gonna need to do this every time we plant one down. It's kind of a quirky thing, which is definitely my cup of tea. And thankfully, it is a seed that we can right click. As a reward, we are given some legal stuff. So for a minute, let me just macro harvest a bit of legal stuff. Then we can craft 4 legal stuffs with a book to make an EULA book. Unfortunately, we are going to need a little bit more sawdust to make a few more books. Oh, and we're also going to need some more legal stuff. That's going to allow us to make some more EULA books, and oh, they don't stack. And we're gonna need some more cobblestone. I'm including this part once again because of how much I think I'm gonna dislike having to do this, and you should suffer with me. Okay, well that's enough to make up a furnace, and I think our only source of fuel right now is sticks. We'll use the furnace to smelt some cobble into stone, and then chipping away at it with a pickaxe to get nothing, and nothing again. We're going to need more cobblestone. I wonder if we can make a vanilla cobble generator. It's gotta be worth a try because doing this does indeed suck. Oh, so if we craft 2 cobblestone together, we can make cobblestone parts, and 4 parts into a chest. That is honestly so good, because having everything we own on our persons while surrounded by lava, it's kind of an intense feeling. Let's try this again. Chipping away at stone is gonna give us the purple snails, finally. Now if we combine those with our hammer, we'll get some purple dye. Lovely. Now finally, onto the crafting flowers, we will throw 4 EULA books, the 4 purple dye, and a book, and boom. Our very first creative item, knowledge of the creatives. We'll then combine this very expensive item with some sticks to make a dead bush. Yeah, but that's because if we pop that bush into the drying basin with some water, it'll somehow dry together into an oak sapling. That, my friends, is chapter 1 complete. To start chapter 2 though, we are going to need more cobblestone and more wheat. So before we dive headfirst into that, I'd better see about expanding out this platform a little bit. Since we only have 1 chunk to play with, it'll be good to just see how little space we actually have. Oh, and I guess I better harvest a little bit more cobblestone. Much fun. Chapter 2. Well, this is most unexpected. Vanilla cobblestone generation is just gone. I guess we'll just pretend that this never happened. Some good news is that I found out that items cannot be thrown or lost through the world border. Yay, so I've expanded out the platform a bit. We've got seeds planted and I've even planted some trees. We've also got down some hemp seeds so we can have access to string and wool. And if you're curious, cobblestone is still absolutely horrible to get. Nevertheless, it is time to craft some cobble with some wheat so we can make some andesite alloy. We'll use logs and an alloy to make a hand crank, and some stone buttons, stone and an alloy to make a propeller. We'll use 2 alloys to make 8 shafts. Then we'll strip some logs with our axe so we can apply some alloy to make andesite casing. That's everything to make an encased fan. Combining an alloy with a casing will get us a depot. We'll surround the shaft with some sticks to make a small cogwheel, which will let us craft up a millstone. Now, in order for us to get any kind of rotational power, we are going to need some planks. Crafting planks though is a lot harder than you'd think. They cannot be crafted, and they are gated behind getting the mechanical saw. So I understand that most of us have got a bit of create mod fatigue right now, so I'm mostly going to be skipping over the building of create things. You know, for everyone's sanity. We'll pop some dust onto the depot, spin the crank and wash the dust into blocks of clay. Then we can turn some into clay balls by placing it down and breaking it. We can craft some of that clay into a clay bucket, then fire that bucket in a furnace. It sounds a lot harsher than it is. Right, listen up. Hobble is about to make the biggest mistake of the whole video, and it's quite hard to watch. I wonder, can we steal lava from outside of the border? Weirdly, we can. I have satisfied that impulsive thought. Wait, how am I going to fix that later? Probably won't matter. We can always just hide it at the back of the base. Now, if we combine some logs, glass and water bucket and a lava bucket, my prayers have been answered with a basic cobblestone generator. Though without planks, we can't actually make a barrel or storage drawers, so I guess we'll pop it down and we'll use one of those cobble chests on top. Be gone, foul demon, and never return. With 72 cobblestone, we can compress them into 8 compressed cobblestone blocks. Then we can slowly mine our cobble gen tier 1, craft it with that compressed cobble and make it a tier 2. Watching the numbers climb, it appears to be 1 cobblestone every second. And it's passive. I am over the moon with it. Moving on. We'll place down 2 temporary blocks and pop the millstone on top. That's because we need to hand crank this from the bottom for now. Now let's make up some gravel from our freshly made, stress-free, mental health approved cobblestone, coming soon to a store near you. We'll throw that into the millstone and then spin it like the muggles we are because we don't have the magic of automation just yet. In return, we have a chance to get some flint, but more importantly, iron filings. Once we have 4 iron filings, we can craft them into 1 nugget. That's a little bit grindy. 16 gravel and minutes of manual millstone gave us 2 iron nuggets. If we wash 16 gravel instead, we only get 1 nugget, but it was a lot quicker. Right, so if we craft 2 sticks and a cobble together, we can make a stone wand. That makes placing the blocks down much quicker. Let's try washing again, but this time with 64 gravel. 4 nuggets that time. Maybe we should stick to the millstone. 64 gravel, let's see how we do. Okay, I got bored, but we have 13 nuggets, so I think that's enough for now. We'll make 1 iron ingot, and now we're in a position to make ourselves a mechanical saw. We'll throw on a log, spin the shaft, and that is a strip log, which I really should have just done with an axe. Pop that back on and we have got our very first planks of the playthrough. That's now unlocked these storage drawers, but more importantly, we now have access to some automated rotational power. Now if we throw a knowledge of the creatives onto the saw and chop it up, we'll get some essence of the creativity. Our second creative item. That is chapter 2 fully completed. And we're given some iron as a reward, which is so nice of you to do. If we combine 1 essence of creativity and an iron ingot together, we'll be ready to make a start on chapter 3 with some iron infused with creativity. We can afford to craft those with some cobble and smooth stone to make an ore generator base, which for now we can only combine with some bone meal to make a tin generator. This nifty little item here will very slowly generate a block of tin above of it, just like you'd find in the real Minecraft world. We can then of course mine it, but ideally we would like to automate this part somehow. Now to proceed any further, we're going to need a copper generator, a redstone generator, and a gold generator. I'd assume that we get the gold by washing red sand, which I guess we'll have to work out how to make at some point. Millstoning terracotta, that makes sense. That all needs more essence of creativity and a few more iron ingots. The knowledge books need purple dye, and instead of chipping away at stone, I think we can use this opportunity to try out the shop and buy an allium seed. It's from a mod called Finally Farmable Dyes, and it does exactly what you think it would do. That's the gist of it anyway. I now need to go and make up a few more knowledge books so we can progress and properly start working through some chapter 3. I'll see you soon. Chapter 3. Welcome back. We've got 16 essence of creativity, and it's not from how I initially thought. I am so glad that I saw this recipe. But if we craft one essence with a book, we straight up just get a knowledge book. I did set up some basic create power. Again, fatigue, we'll skip most of it. More importantly, if we put the knowledge book onto the saw, we get 2 essence in return. They could be crafted with some more books for some very cheeky creative item doubling. Me likey. That meant I was able to clear up a little bit of space, since we didn't need the EULA seeds or the normie ones anymore. Not even that purple flower that we just bought. I used that method to make up 8 iron infused with creativity for a very special reason. Because right now, iron is driving me a little bit mad. We have now been gifted the ability to buy an iron generator. This is going to be so much less of a hassle getting iron going forward, especially if we can automate the breaking and smelting of it. For now, we smelt, but soon we'll bulk blast with create. With ample amounts of iron now available, we can craft ourselves up a mechanical drill, and just like that we have got somewhat automated iron. Granted, it's going to go onto the floor, but as long as I pop over once every few minutes, we're going to be swimming in it. Especially since after this chapter we can buy speed upgrades for those generators. Moving on, let's smelt down a bunch of clay blocks into some terracotta. This terracotta is going to go straight into the millstone and will mill down into red sand. That red sand will then need to be washed and has a small chance of giving us a gold nugget. Not this time though. We'll need 36 nuggets to continue, so let me repeat that cycle a few times and I will be right back. Sand has been washed and a poppy seed has been bought. That is enough to craft up a redstone generator. We'll pop that in front of the breaker, and I've realised that I can't really leave these running as my brain doesn't seem to like items just spewing onto the floor. It's a weird one. But that redstone we can then use to make the gold generator. An orange tulip seed has been bought, so we now have access to orange dye. And that's everything for the copper generator. Nice. I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna do with the block harvesting just yet. I'm kinda just winging it. Using some iron, sticks and strings, it is time to craft ourselves an engineer's hammer as we touch upon a little bit of immersive engineering. We'll use it to hammer some raw iron into iron grit, and we're also gonna need a nickel generator which will give us nickel ore and we can hammer that into nickel grit. Crafting together 2 iron grit and 1 nickel grit is how we're gonna be making Invar blend. And of course we can smelt that into Invar ingots, but in future we are going to need both types of Invar. Placing some cobblestone down with an iron wand and hammering that into gravel and then sand, we can craft 4 sand together to make some sandstone. We can then craft them with some bricks and that is going to give us 8 kiln bricks. Plop, we've got an alloy kiln. Nice! If we alloy together some infused iron with creativity and Invar ingots, we'll get our very first nugget of creativity. Chapter 3 is technically complete. Ooh, and the duplication gets cheekier. We can alloy together 3 nuggets of creativity with 3 Invar blend. That gives us 6 essence of creativity. Those 6 essence can then be crafted with some iron to make 24 iron infused with creativity. We can then alloy those 24 infused iron with some Invar ingots to make 24 nuggets of creativity from 3 nuggets. Those 24 would turn into 192 and then again into 1536. That's because it doubles and then quadruples. It's kind of insane. To give you some perspective, I have been playing this pack for less than 5 hours so far, and we're just about to start chapter 4 with such an insane duplication method. It just takes time. So let me do some work and I will see you quite soon. Chapter 4. Welcome back, my friends. I've done some grinding because I feel like we're going to be quite busy now for quite a bit. To start with, if we craft a wheat seed with a water bucket, we'll get a kelp seed. That can then be planted in a water tower to give us good old-fashioned kelp. It can be cooked into dried kelp and compressed into a kelp block. Then combined with a copper plate and a copper casing, we can make a hose pulley. I've plonked it down on the lava and I've lowered it as far as I'm willing to lower it. It really doesn't need much. Spending some iron, we can now make up some fluid pipes from the pipes mod. We'll route some lava from the pulley into some stone barrels that I made earlier. Using a wrench, we can sneak right click the end of the pipe to set it to extraction mode. As you can see, our barrels will now fill with lava from an infinite source. This one will give us obsidian, which we're gonna need later on, and the other one is just a lava barrel that we're gonna be using in just a moment. First, I want to show you that I tidied up like a good hobble, using some storage drawers for the bulkier items. And in the quest book, we are now allowed to purchase different flavors of wood. So as expected, I bought spruce and dark oak. Now over here we have got ourselves an emergency nugget, just in case I accidentally use the last one and I don't really want to start over by making that knowledge book again. This nugget means that we don't have to do that. Now while we're in the pipes mood, we may as well make up some item pipes and some energy pipes. And that's all of our piping needs pretty much sorted. Now while thinking about energy, we're probably going to want some redstone flux coils and invar gears. That's going to let us craft a magmatic dynamo, which does seem to be the most logical choice considering we do have infinite lava. So the reason that we've got a barrel of lava is if we use some redstone dust on it, it'll convert that lava into netherrack. Though I think we definitely need some pipe upgrades to make extracting the lava that little bit quicker. We can go as far as the gold upgrades and I'm pretty sure that's going to be perfect for our current use case. That goes into the extraction node and it goes from 50 millibuckets per tick to 500. Much better. Though I think we are losing some redstone by clicking too fast. Yeah, we lost 10 redstone dust. That's fine because redstone is free. Ignoring that, we will put the 54 netherrack onto the bulk smelter to turn into nether bricks. Now if we craft together 4 bricks, 4 nether bricks, and 1 lava bucket, we will get 3 blast bricks. We just need to repeat this now until we have 27 of them. Boop! That's what we call a basic blast furnace. Now using some charcoal and some iron ingots, we can start to blast those into steel ingots. Oh dear, this is a slow one, right? It's still not done. I don't understand this questline. Why would we use LV wires to move power around when we have the pipes mod? Why on earth would we use windmills or the thermoelectric generators to make power when we've got the magmatic dynamo? Part of me is thinking the developer forgot to disable the magmatic dynamo recipe. Oh well, I'm still gonna use them though. Oh goody, we made 1 steel ingot. I might need to AFK. Why is a steel ingot a fulfilling meal? I am trying to eat it, but alas, I cannot. Weird. Alright, let's see what we can do while we wait. We can craft up a few iron plates using the engineer's hammer, and that's going to let us make an iron mechanical component. Now we're going to need some engineer's wire cutters, and we're about to waste so much copper on something that we do not need. Step 1. Use the engineer's hammer to make up some copper plates. Step 2. Use the wire cutters on those plates to make some copper wire. Step 3. Craft that wire with some sticks to make some LV wire coils. Step 4. Combine 8 wire coils with an iron ingot to make a copper coil block. That's everything to make the kinetic dynamo. For if we ever want to set up a windmill for a small amount of power. We can waste 3 more copper to make the LV wire connector, and that's some of the quests completed. Okay, I think we can start to work a little more towards the metal press, starting by making up some pistons. Of course, I've used up all of my industrial hemp fiber. That checks out. So it is back to farming again. Honestly, I wasn't expecting so many farm related tasks while being stuck inside of a volcano. We can now craft up some industrial hemp fiber with some sticks and make some tough fabric. Oh no. We needed leather, so I was gonna make some of the fake leather. However, I did not see that it needed a honeycomb. Where am I supposed to get a bee from? How on earth are we supposed to get the leather to make the conveyor belts? I'm stumped. Oh, rotten flesh in a drying basin. which we could get from a zombified piglin. That would be a lot easier if we had more than one chunk to play with. Maybe if we build a sky platform, we'll be far enough away from them to allow them to spawn. If that's the case, we're gonna at least want some torches on ground level, just in case of surprises. I'm hopeful that this is gonna work, mostly because if this doesn't work, this one chunk challenge could honestly be over. Let me build a platform real quick and we'll find out what happens next. I'm in a hole. It turns out my memory of what spawn distance was completely wrong. So instead of breaking the platform, I am building down into the lava to make us go further away. Of course, this is all made possible because Quark is installed, allowing us to place blocks in ways that is impossible in vanilla. So I've been down here for a while, let's head on up to see if we have any spawns. Nothing. I have just heard a very interesting noise, and it's not what I was expecting. We need a boat. We head up the ladder. Wandering trader. We are gonna need to capture this fella for late game, and since we only have one chunk of spawning space, I say we try and keep him alive as long as possible. We just need to help him deal with his baggage. And let's drop him down to the safer level, just in case a spooky boy gets him. What? The boat broke! Why did the boat break? Where are you, my invisible friend? Gotcha! Now hopefully he's safe from mobs and safe from despawning. Because boat rules. Though I am a little scared now because the boat broke. What else did they break? Right then, into the hole we go. And then we can use free cam to see what's going on above and keep an eye on any mob spawns. Though I might unfortunately need to raise this platform even higher, even though technically we are far enough away. Not even an extra 5 blocks seems to help. This might be a problem. I'll do some AFK and hopefully at least 3 can spawn. Well, that was an absolutely miserable time. No matter what I did, I could only ever get 1 or 2 to spawn at a time. I even made it a pure dark room, and as you can see, it's as empty as my bank account. It's gotta be something to do with this being a spawn chunk or something, but that's fine. We have enough leather from the llamas earlier and 2 piglin spawns that all of this was pretty much for nothing anyway. At least we can now craft up some conveyor belts and start to do some progress. Oh right, yeah, okay. In the quests, it says here that the coke oven is optional. So I figured, you know what? We'll come back and get that later when we go for 100%, since it's only for more efficient fuel. Nope, it's a lie. In order to make the metal press mold, you need the engineer's workbench, which as most of us know, it needs treated wood. And you get that from creosote oil. And of course, the only place to get creosote oil is the coke oven. So no, it is not an optional quest. So thankfully I looked ahead and that is what we have here. Charcoal in, wait 2 hours, and get coal coke and some creosote. Okay, well it's not 2 hours, but it's slow and I'm in a complaining mood right now. Maybe I need a cup of tea. For now, we'll make up some treated wooden planks, then we'll need 6 treated wooden slabs, some treated sticks, and with a crafting table we can make the engineer's crafting table. Next a treated wooden fence post, and that's the engineer's workbench. Absolutely not optional. Plonk. Oh, and we have some sad news. Boats are broken, and our wandering fella despawned. Hopefully another one will spawn, but I've been looking through the quests and we might actually not need him. In happier news, I bought a cornflower seed, which we will use to make up some blue dye. Now we need 3 crude paper again, and unfortunately, I'm all out of it. Also 0 sawdust. So it's back to hammering cobble to make gravel, gravel to make sand, sand to make dust, and hodes to get sawdust. But finally, that is the engineer's blueprint for the metal press molds. Considering how slow steel is to make, it might also be worth making the components one to get a cheaper recipe. Wait, no, what? Where are we supposed to get aluminum? Never mind then. Pain and suffering it is. We'll make up some steel rods and we'll use them to make some steel scaffolding. Some iron sheet metal, which we'll then turn into a redstone engineering block. Now the expensive one. We'll start off by making 4 steel plates and they will craft into 4 steel sheet metal. The part I wanted to avoid was the mechanical components, But alas, we'll need another 16 steel plates. That's the steel mechanical components, we are just missing Constantan. We just need to wait for some nickel to craft, so we can make a start on building the metal press while we wait. That's the heavy engineering blocks, and that's not how it's built. That's more like it. We can plug in the magmatic dynamo for power, and all that is missing now is the mold. 3 steel plates and some wire cutters in the workbench, and we are looking for the 3x3 packing mold. Got it! Pop that on and we're ready to go. If we throw on at least 10 nuggets of creativity, it'll get molded into an ingot of creativity. And to finish off this chapter, we need to spend one to make the Wand of Infinity, which we don't exactly need in a one chunk challenge, placing thousands of blocks at a time. In chapter 5, we will be diving into a tiny bit of Tinker's construct. It looks like it's the original grout recipe, so it'll be abnormally easy thanks to Ex Nihilo. In the shop, we have unlocked steel buying. 30 nuggets worth for 8 steel. I think not. 40 for 48 coal coke. Madness, I tell you. The shopkeeper has gone mad. Now with yet another chapter complete comes a little bit of tidying and crafting. It'll be some hammering to get sand, gravel and clay to make the grout, no doubt. I'll see you soon. Chapter 5. After a little smelting, washing and crushing, we have got ourselves a melter and a heater. We'll pop in a seared brick and pour 4 ingots worth of molten copper over it. That'll cool down into a smeltery controller, and now we'll never need this little system ever again. Now we just need to put together a quick smeltery, and to make it nice and easy we'll plug in our infinite lava to the fuel tank. Temporarily we're going to need a casting table to prove with a bucket that we have done the next step in the quest. Inside we need to melt down some ingots of creativity, which each give 144 millibuckets of liquid, and I think we need 10 of them in total for the next steps. Next we need to throw in some obsidian to melt down. Oh boy, that filled up fast. I guess we'll just make it bigger. Lastly, we'll smelt down some Constantan. Why aren't you alloying? I put in copper. My bad. That's better. At least 1 bucket of molten creativity, which we then need to pour over a bucket for the quest. Quest complete. Let's throw it back in now so we can actually use it. Next, we need to pour it out into a casting basin to make a block of creativity. Nice. Not nice. We need 4 of them to make the transmutation table from Project E. It looks like it's back to making nuggets and ingots again for me. At least in this pack with Project E, only like 12 items have got an EMC value, so we don't need to do the whole min-maxing producing EMC. Not even power flowers or the watcher flowing time exist in this mod pack. It's gonna be nice. It might though be time to finally invest in an induction smelter for easier nugget duplication. I swear this is the only time I ever find myself crafting up a blast furnace. 2 Invar gears, 1 tin gear, 1 machine frame, and that's the lovely induction smelter created. In here we will throw in some creative nuggets and some Invar blend, and it'll very slowly craft into creative essence, just like the alloy kiln. We craft with iron and throw it back in with the Invar ingots, a really nice doubling quadrupler. This has the added benefit though of adding chests for auto import and export. I guess I'll AFK for a bit after making some more Invar, and I'll see you real soon. So after a little grinding, we have got the 4 blocks to craft up the transmutation table. And that is another chapter of Volcanic Sandbox complete. Absolutely use chests for the induction smelter and just AFK. It's very slow. Also use a slot seal to stop it filling up wrongly. Now I guess it's time that we pop down the transmutation table and start finding the few items with EMC value so that we can teach them. Starting with a bonus block of creativity, since I think we're now done with the smeltery, I'm going to want to take it down. So of course it's the essence, nuggets and ingots of creativity. All of the vanilla logs have EMC, glowstone and bamboo, and that's about it for now. Chapter 6. We'll start off with a zinc generator and then another portal. Clink. We'll craft up some more iron plates and craft them with some netherrack to make some empty blaze burners. Now I think we're going to benefit from crafting up some armor and probably a shield too. It is time to go deeper and enter the nether. So because I didn't really want to mess around with the seed and guaranteeing landing on a blaze spawner, we do have a normal nether. The only reason we are here right now is to get some quartz and fill up the aforementioned blaze burners. By the way, that's the first time I've ever in my life said aforementioned. Yoink! It was nice to be able to stretch the legs a little bit, but now we are back into our chunk-sized prison. In the quests, we are now able to buy diamonds and brass. And it's nice to see though that diamonds have an EMC value. So now we have diamond tools and diamond chests. And it took me a while, but I found a way to make real paper without using any sugarcane. Paper can be crafted from the sawdust that we get from thermal. We can make that sawdust by simply putting 3 logs into the sawmill. Now, as you can see, I've started clearing out some of the chunk ready for the main base build. We are coming up to some very spicy endgame stuff, and we're going to want a little infrastructure for that. Plus, of course, I need a cool thumbnail. Right, are we ready for this? We need 1024 creative alloys to make the creative singularity, so we need a way to make alloy as quick as possible. We will need 10 billion EMC for that, and I'm not really sure how we're going to do that just yet. One step at a time, we'll start by making some rose quartz. Then crafting some sand with some paper will let us make sandpaper, and we'll use this to polish the rose quartz into polished rose quartz. Oh, and you may have noticed that the world is looking ever so slightly more detailed. Tidy ingots, crisp furnace, detailed grass. It all looks really cool. Even the create mod textures are looking mighty fancy. For the first time in my life, I am using 32x texture packs. It's called Improved Create 32x and Faithful 32x. Oh yeah, and we're also using Style 4 for the border makeover, because it's a nice looking world border. Though I think I have the border one in the wrong spot though, as I think it's still vanilla. But anyway, the world looks cool. So we are going to need a mechanical press finally, which we'll use to squish some brass ingots into brass sheets. We'll need those to make brass hands, combine iron plates and polished rose quartz to make electron tubes, and that's everything for the first deployer. 4 more to go at some point. Now, since the blocks that we have access to are very limited, I have decided that for our main base, I am going to be using a mix of nether bricks and the old reliable spruce as a roof block. I would have preferred deep slate, but we have been denied. So I think now would be a good time to put down the main foundations of our new home, and finally have somewhere to live in this small world. Actually, real quick, the precision mechanisms are actually really cheap, so it means we don't need to use gear ratios and is going to save a ton of space. And it's not worth automating, so I've just set up 3 deployers and I'll move it over manually. That's one made, and while it's set up I will make a second one because I don't want to need one later and then have to set this up again. Now then, before I get distracted, it is time to rip everything down and say goodbye to the early game tech. It is now a nice blank canvas for us to set out a nice build on. Let me see what I can hobble together that fits within a single chunk. Let's go. Looking lovely on the outside except for that lava mistake I made, and looking acceptable inside with some of the next chapter somewhat set up. Welcome back. It turned out okay considering the block limitations. It probably needs some more detail, but that can come later. There's going to be plenty of time for that because this next chapter is going to be very slow. Inside I have moved in all of the drawers and chests, and here we have the create systems ready for the next chapter, where we need to make the creative alloy. And as I mentioned before, 1024 of them. This is what I am struggling to comprehend right now. They are 10 million EMC each, so buying them probably isn't an option. So we're gonna need to do this craft a lot. So in order to make 1,000 of these, we'll need 1,000 andesite alloy, which I think I'm just gonna craft manually since it's just wheat and cobble. For now we have 1 andesite enter the belt from here, though later it might overfill the belt, so we might need another solution. We'll get one thing at a time. For now we only want to just make 1. That andesite needs to go around 8 times, that means that we're going to need 8 of every deployed item. So 8,000 knowledge of the creatives, which sadly has no EMC value. So we'll need 8,000 books, also no EMC, but paper and bamboo does. So the end product is the creative book, and for that we need a regular book. That book needs bamboo and paper. But how on earth are we going to craft them? 8,000 bamboo and 24,000 paper? Do I really want to manually withdraw that many to put into a drawer? And auto crafting is limited, where we could set up refined storage, but since we don't have the mod that connects it to our EMC, I would still need to manually pull those items out. I mean, we can buy an EMC link to pull out 1 item per second, but that's the highest level that we have access to. So 24,000 seconds or nearly 7 hours just for the paper alone. Oh my gosh, they cost 10 million EMC to buy the link? Honestly, I don't think that's an option. I'm honestly leaning towards manually crafting the books. Send help. What we do know is that we can turn 1 knowledge of the creatives into 2 essence. They of course then turn into 2 knowledge books, and so on. This could be the way that we generate those knowledge books without using much EMC. We just need to provide the regular books. That's enough knowledge books to at least get the test started. Now we need 8 essence, 8 nuggets, 8 ingots, and 8 blocks. Boom, 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 and quack. We started with 11 million EMC. Let's send through the andesite alloy, and after 8 cycles we have got the creative alloy. Our first of 1,000, yay! If we sell that back, we have 12 million EMC. Through all of that effort, we have made 1 million EMC. We would need to do 10 cycles to make enough EMC to buy another creative alloy. Something seems wrong with this. Okay, one step at a time I think. First, I would like to make up a handful of books so we can at least afford to buy 1 EMC link. Why on earth is this part so grindy compared to the previous chapters? Please hold. Well, my friends, I have worked it out, and it's not what you think. Sometime between me seeing this mod pack be played and when I installed it, there was shenanigans afoot. A secret little update that changed endgame forever. Now, before I tell you what it is, please know that there were only good intentions involved from the developer, and honestly, I think it's easier if I just walk you through what happened. This is our recipe, where we put the andesite alloy in, spend 9 million EMC, and get 10 million in return. However, the original recipe did not have the block of creativity here. It was actually in place of the andesite alloy, meaning you only needed 1 per craft instead of 8. So it cost 1 million to make instead of 8 million. Mega profit. So I got in touch with Remag, the pack developer, and they've explained that the reason for the changes, they didn't want us to just rely on duping the creative alloy like we were planning on doing. Instead, we should have ideally been automating the previous tiers that we have done. More specifically, it was gonna be the nuggets of creativity where we were turning 1000 EMC into 40,000. Just by turning it into the infused alloy and combining it with Invar in the induction smelter. Here's the problem with that suggestion though. In our induction smelter, we can throw those ingots in, and this is how long it takes. It's around 10 seconds per nugget, or 10 seconds per 10,000 EMC. Now of course we need 10 million EMC for only one of those creative alloys, so making 1000 nuggets per alloy at 10 seconds each, that's 27 hours using only one induction smelter. We do just about have the ability to make the integral components, but we don't have access to the flux linkage amplifiers. It kinda needs lead. After testing in a creative world, the best that we can do is 3 seconds per nugget. But remember, We need 1000 crafts of 1000 nuggets to be able to afford this singularity, so 1 million crafts in total at 3 seconds each. 3 million seconds. Or 31 days of constant AFK. Now, we could put down 10 or 20 induction smelters, but that would then need 10 or 20 times the amount of Invar ingots, and blend. Oh, and as we discovered earlier, all of the higher tier creative items are of equal value, like 10 lots of 10k into 100k, even using the smeltery as 10 lots of 100k into 1 million. My suggestion would have been to make it 5 nuggets to 1 ingot, for a nice duplication that encourages us to not just reach the endgame and dupe this way. And this was the problem with the original recipe. We had no reason to keep any of the early game things set up. We just needed to reach the endgame, rip it all down and build this. But at 31 days to complete using the only other duplication, I think it has been tweaked too much into the impossible. So, I have a plan. It's a pretty good plan. I have permission to do something. Something I have never done before, and actually have no idea how to do. You could probably downgrade if the new recipe is too grindy. Yes it is. So, it's currently 3 AM for me. First thing tomorrow I'll be working out how to downgrade so we can push forward and complete this pack. I'll see you in the morning. Good night, my friends. Good morning. That was some unexpected news. After talking to the developer last night, they have done a quick little update. On screen now is the changelog, and it says that they have removed and reverted back to the original recipe because the new one was unintentionally grindy. I have nothing but love and respect to them for listening to the feedback and be like, yeah, that was a whoopsies, my bad. So now we are dealing with a much less grindy recipe, it's still gonna take many hours to complete. For example, we still need several thousand knowledge books, so that's what I've been working on here. To save on EMC, we are cycling them through, but I may change that later as I think overall it will mean I'll need to craft more books. Books are easy though. With an empty inventory, we just take out a hotbar's worth of bamboo, and then fill the rest of the inventory with paper. In the keybinds, I have changed the refill last stack option to Shift and E, though I've changed it because I rebind my inventory to Tab. Then all I gotta do is hold Shift and then toggle between pressing E and clicking. Now I had considered the sequential fabricator, but again withdrawing 1 item per second is just far too slow when I just did 500 books in a few seconds. So in order to buy an EMC link, we will need to have started chapter 7. Which needs black iron. So we'll need a bunch of iron ingots and some black dye, which I'm guessing we'll be making from millstoning charcoal. So it looks like I've got a little bit of work to do now setting up a little bit more create, so I will see you in just a moment. Chapter 7. Welcome back. If we head upstairs, we have got a super simple system where we throw logs into this drawer. It gets cooked and turns into charcoal, which goes into the millstone to give us the black and grey dye. We'll use the black dye with the iron ingots to make black iron, and that's chapter 7 officially started. Crafting core. I guess we'll just speed through this bit. 2 black iron into slates. Craft with iron and glowstone into basic components. Craft with black iron into basic catalysts. Black iron, glass and creative alloy into black iron frames. All together makes the crafting core. Add in some crafting tables to make the basic crafting table. Craft gold, glowstone and black iron into 16 advanced components. Combine with black iron to make 3 advanced catalysts. Craft with the basic table to make an advanced crafting table. Craft slate, glowstone and diamonds into 16 elite components. Combine with black iron to make 3 elite catalysts. Craft with advanced table to make an elite crafting table. Now we need emeralds. So that's why we needed that wandering trader from earlier. However, as expected, there is an easier way where we can just straight up just buy them from the shop, and they have an EMC value. For now, I want to go ahead and purchase 5 EMC links, which are going to be pulling out the creative items for us. We just right click it with an item and it'll keep our deployer filled, though we may need 2 or 3 of them to keep it running smooth. Then we load in some of the books that we have made already and it's ready to test. If we throw in a stack of blocks, is it gonna clog up the belt? Yes, Yes, you are. For now, I think we might just have to make 8 at a time. I'll have to think about how we can prioritize the already stamped items instead of sending fresh blocks of creativity. We can use a separate EMC link though for selling off all of the completed versions. And yeah, a second EMC link to feed the deployers is definitely going to be needed. Wait, if we use an EMC link to buy the blocks, it's going to be limited to pulling out 1 per second. That means it's going to extract slower than our loop, which has got a speed upgrade in. And having let it run for quite a few minutes, it seems to be working. Let's finish off the crafting task from earlier. We need 16 ultimate components. We'll craft some into 3 ultimate catalysts and combine it to make the ultimate crafting table. Nice! We'll need this to craft up the quantum compressor, which honestly is nice and easy at this point. Now this needs to go down onto a power source because we need to fill this thing up with 10 million RF in order to do the craft. There's no way I'm getting into mechanism power, so 2 magmatic dynamos can fill this up while I AFK. For now though, it is back to crafting books and sitting AFK waiting for the EMC to roll in. I'll see you soon. Oh, I just realised we don't actually need to duplicate the powder anymore, and instead we can just send the books right on over. Now I can legit just sit here and do nothing for today. Nice, I'm gonna go and catch up on some housework. Bye! We're in the nether now because we needed quartz for mechanical crafters and later ender pearls to make the eyes of ender. Spoiler alert, there's a dragon. Anyways, I remembered that piglins have a chance to give us ender pearls, and it turns out this pack has compressed mobs. 1 compressed piglin, once killed, spawned like 9 or 10 of these piglin fellas. It's made trading so easy. And we have an ender pearl, so it definitely works. So I just need to throw away the rest of the items that we don't need to keep just to keep the inventory clear. Now back in the land of the living, we have got 12 billion EMC, so I think we're ready. Let's pull out at least 1024 creative alloy and throw them into the quantum compressor. Oh, can you imagine if we were just putting in the wrong item and we've just burned all of this EMC? I would cry. But it is going to consume 5 million RF, and my friends, we have the creative singularity. Let's go ahead and learn that just in case. Chapter 8. In this chapter, we are going to be heading to the end and defeating the dragon. Because of course we are, why not? We can make up some end stone by using glowstone on a barrel filled with lava. Now using some end stone, emeralds and emerald blocks, we can craft up 12 end portal frames. It's at this point the quest should be telling you how to place down the end portal frames. It doesn't, so let me show you how. Standing in what will be the center of our portal, we are going to be building out each side of the portal. These I found out quite a while ago are directional, and they must be built from the inside. Yeah, sneaky little trick that is. Oh, blaze powder, the other Eye of Ender ingredient. We have 1 rod. We're on fire now. That's 12 blaze powder, and the recipe doesn't work. Why? Oh, we didn't need the ender pearls. Well, that was unexpected. Load the eyes into the portal frame, and my friends, it is almost time to take on the ender dragon. Let me go ahead and prepare a couple of things, like a bow, and we'll jump right in. It's time! Now one thing I have changed is our home command now takes us to a pool of water. So if we get flung into the air, we will hopefully teleport home if I am quick. We have spectral arrows from the piglins, so without any further avoiding it, let's do this. Hello, Queen. That was the jankiest dragon fight I think I have ever done in my career. She just kept on circling out of render distance way up on top of one of the pillars. Ah well, it's on to the next generation I guess. We'll need a ton of mechanical crafters. And now, where are we going to build this in our chunk? It's essentially a 9x9 crafter, so I guess maybe we could build it outside temporarily. It looks ridiculous, but correct. Now we just gotta try and get all of the items into their correct locations, and honestly it's quite easy as it's all of the diagonals for each item. Now for power. I guess we don't need the creative alloy maker anymore, so we'll just steal the power from there. It's all temporary anyway, even the windmill will be going at some point. It's crafting. That right there is one remagium with 10 trillion EMC. After a moment you open your eyes again. Everything is fine. Nothing has exploded and you have the remagium in your hand. You open the quest book again and see one final quest. You know what you have to do. It's rocket time! And then of course the optionals for 100%. We break the crafter and we rebuild it in the shape of a rocket. The problem we face now is that we have nothing set up to make the compressed steel. We'll need a multi-servo press, and I think that all we're missing is 2 bronze ingots. Let me get that set up real quick and we'll be on our way to the moon. We have it. One tier 4 rocket, because why settle for less? Is big, launch pads and fuel as a reward, thank goodness for small mercies. Now as far as space to launch it, I think it might finally be time to say goodbye to the windmill. It served us well, but create is over, and we are going to the moon. We build our launch pad, insert our rocket, add in our fuel, what? It crashed me to desktop. Weird. I guess I'll try and fuel up the rocket and I'll see you soon. 4 crashes in total, but we have a rocket full of fuel. But before we go, just in case the credits roll over or the world corrupts, I think we should probably do the rest of the pack to 100% real quick. All we're really missing is the refined storage quest line. I've even done the content creators one too. Let me know if my name gets added here and what the quest is. I'm curious. Now traditionally, refined storage needs a lot of slime balls. We could do coagulated blood from Tinkers, but let's simplify it and use create to make some slime balls. Now I did have to set up a mini create area again to do it, and that's to get the green dye from the poppies. Combined with white dye gets slime, and that mixed with some dough gives us some slime balls. That allows us to make processor binding and complete the rest of refined storage. So I don't plan on spending too long walking through this, since we're not actually going to be using it for anything. Here is a real quick version to wet your whistle, since it has been such a long time since I walked through refined storage. We'll craft binding, iron, silicon and redstone together to make the raw basic processors. The silicon you get from smelting quartz. Swap the iron for gold to make the raw improved processors, and swap the gold for diamonds to make the raw advanced processors. Smelty smelt for all of you. 3 iron and a quartz makes the quartz enriched iron. It's been a while, my old friend. Use it to surround some stone and make some machine casings. That is everything for a controller. That's one quest complete. We'll need a disk drive, nice and easy. Oh my. Why am I at the end of the mod pack and only now realizing that we have REI installed? So I can literally pin recipes the easiest way. The best way. I'm so daft. We'll need destruction cores and construction cores. And that means we can craft up a grid, and combined with an advanced processor and a crafting table, we'll make it a crafting grid. Now to try and make a 16K storage part. We'll need quite a few 1Ks, 3 4Ks, and into the 16K. That was actually kinda lucky. Then we can add some bits and bobs to make it a storage disk. Quest complete. Almost done. You know what? Let's do a celebratory inventory cleanse and finish the last few crafts in here. Auto crafting. I have no idea what exactly it would be useful in this mod pack, but let's get it crafted. 1 crafter, at least 16 blank patterns, a crafting monitor, and lastly, my friends, a pattern grid for teaching all of the recipes. Nice, my friends. That is 100% completion of Volcanic Sandbox. Every quest, every chapter, every optional. There is just one quest left to do, and that is to launch off to the moon and into the next adventure. This has been the perfect mod pack to do my first one chunk challenge in, and I think it turned out really well. If you have any ideas for a new challenge that I could do on top of completing a mod pack, let me know down in the comments. So I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye. Oof, ouch, yeah, we don't have a way to breathe, so of course we're going to die. I guess I'll just sit here and wait for the next adventure to come and find me. Toodles.